you know, running a business, I have a right to do pretty much what I want. But as long as it's within the law. If there's collusion between the government and business to achieve the government's purpose, and yet the government not do it. And I asked, I mean, just this last week, we had the example of the president and rent evictions, where he basically said, we've looked through constitutional law, it doesn't look like we would win anymore, which means we're not on good legal ground, but we're going to do it anyway. So, and this talking about, you know, the administration has also talked about vaccines, importance of vaccines, and possibly forcing vaccines. Okay? So now we move down, and to my surprise, because corporate people are usually really good with legalese. Okay? But to my surprise, listening to the meetings and hearing testimony today, what I did not hear was, here's how this would protect my company. Here's how this would protect the people at my company. What I heard in those meetings and what I heard today is this would protect the people of the state, which is what the state would want to do, but where's my interest in that? And especially when I know that people from the government are meeting with business and saying, we'd really like for you to do this. And the reason is because we can't. So what are the legal ramifications there?
Well, there are cases in which the government uses private parties, resulting in the government being liable. We see this in the Fourth Amendment context. So you could hold the government liable, but you still couldn't hold the private party liable unless there is a statute that the private party violated. So yes, you're right that there have been instances in which government has acted through private parties to avoid what I just described, which is the restrictions of the Constitution. And when recognized, when that secret behavior became recognized, the government was held liable. But the private parties are not held liable in that context.
So even similar, even where we heard elected officials tell Twitter and Facebook, censor people for saying anything negative about the vaccine. Mm-hmm. You couldn't go back and say.
There is a broader question that's being litigated as to whether or not entities like Twitter and Facebook have become essentially public services. And so whether they have crawled over, crept into the context of being a public entity. That's a complicated and undecided legal question. But that is different so far than in the context of, say, Tyson's doing something so as to placate the government, which seems to be the case.